Can you please tell us a bit about your journey? What inspired you to start your own brand, Amoda?
Business went a little low for most of the designers, so that's when I thought, why not study? And innovation is always important in every business, especially in the fashion industry.
Do you believe in a brand having a physical outlet besides an online presence, or is that not relevant anymore?
That is not, no, I don't think in today's world it is important. I think somewhere around 30 to 40 lakh is something you need to start a business, is something someone would require. Forecasting your sales is very important in this, especially when you know you have kept a lot of inventory and you know that now you have to actually forecast your sales, that this is what we need to sell.
There are various e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Shopify, etc. So how does one decide which to get listed on and which one to not get listed on, etc.?
So e-com is playing a very, very important role in today's business. But
Hi all, welcome to the Strategic Pulse. I'm your host Sudarshan Praveen. Today we have Esha Bhatia as our guest. In this episode, we will deep dive into the fashion clothing business and how one can go about starting their own line of business in this industry. Stay tuned and watch the entire episode. Hi Esha, welcome to the show.
hi Sudarshan, thank you for having me here.
So can you please tell us a bit about your journey? What inspired you to start your own brand, Amoda?
So basically, I was a bridal designer since 12 years, and I've been doing bridal since a very long time, and I had a lot of international clients. This was all word of mouth. But then later lockdown hit, and I thought, people are getting married in-house and everything was online. So of course the bridal business went a little low for most of the designers. So that's when I thought, why not study? And innovation is always important in every business, especially in the fashion industry. And I thought that I needed a little bit of change, as I was also quite overwhelmed with this bridal. And then I did my thesis in fashion in the lockdown. I studied for a couple of years. And then that's when I decided that I wanted to launch my own label and be a little different from others, where I did introduce my own prints related to every print had its own story to say. So, and then lockdown also helped me to understand there's a lot of turmoil going on in the today's generation. So that's when I thought, why not research on them and understand the Gen Zs and understand what's happening in today's generation. That's how I came up with my own print and my own label.
So lockdown gave you an opportunity to identify a gap which was probably missing. So if you can put it in simple words, what exactly the gap was which you were trying to fill?
So I just felt people could not relate to a lot of young generation these days. And what I felt is that prints were not also quite up there in the market, and lockdown people were buying a lot of online stuff. The online business hit crazy in lockdown.
Okay.
So I thought might as well do a lot of quad sets, and people were knowing that after this lockdown was gonna get over, people were gonna travel, people would need new clothes, and everybody was exhausted sitting at home. So of course that's when I thought, I'll do a Preth collection. I will come up with this prints where people could not think and just buy, and so that's how I came up with this my brand and my label.
Okay, that's very interesting to know. So can you explain how the textile industry works in simple terms for our viewers? Like what are the various kinds of things one can do in this textile industry?
So what textile is, you convert the raw materials. Raw materials is fiber. There are two types of fibers: natural fibers and synthetic fibers. Natural fibers are made from wool and they're made from plants and animals. Synthetic fibers are man-made, like nylon, polyester. So that is all very synthetic fibers. Now these fibers are converted into yarns, and these yarns are converted into fabrics. Now, the fabrics that we get are also, after these from these yarns, are actually there's a process called as combing, rejuvenating. So after all this process is done, the fabric is made. Now these fabrics are finished by dyeing or printing. So that's how the fabric is actually made, and that's how the textile industry works. And now these fabrics are then after they're produced, they are given to these suppliers, and then that's how it goes to the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are there any challenges sourcing high quality fabrics?
Yeah. So the biggest challenge is finding the correct suppliers, because the consistency in the fabric is never maintained. So because every fabric is made with a different kind of weave. Now the weave is actually their tools, how the fabric is made. So every time the weave and the composition of the fabric is always different. Okay. So the biggest challenge that you face here is you order like a producer produces X amount of quality. The supplier supplies it. Now, when we as designers take in bulk, we get one lot. After the whole production is done, everything is done, we want the second lot, but the second lot is always a little different from the first lot. So that is the biggest challenge that we face in terms of consumers, because consumers have already bought that fabric, but a little composition changes. So that is where that is one of the challenges that we face. The other challenges that we face in this textile industry is the consistency and the timelines. The timelines are always different. We've been told that this yarn would be produced in this amount of time, but it is never received on time. So that is the biggest challenge that we face, especially with the suppliers. So yeah.
Is there a way to tackle these challenges in a simple way? Or is it just a standard practice and we have to just accept it?
You just have to accept it. There is no way that they can actually produce the same yarn and the same fiber every time.
Okay. And this is across even boutique brands, big fashion houses?
Mostly, yes. Quality control is very important, and quality control is something which is a little different every time. So, yes.
And how do fashion businesses generally position themselves in this industry? And how do boutique brands position themselves differently from big fashion houses?
Yes. So first, it's very important for these small brand owners, like we are small label owners. So for us, it's very different. We are very different in terms of our investments are very low, one. Secondly, we have to be very unique from others. We have to have our USP, which is not there in the big fashion houses. Of course, they have a very big investment. They are very established. Their recognition is there globally. But we as small brand owners, business owners, we have to, of course, we have a lot of challenges of our own in terms of our investment, which I mentioned. We have to have our unique selling point. Target audience is something which is very important. Like for small business owners, it's very important to see who your target audience is. Distribution channel, you have to find your own niche. In small business owners, you have to have your own niche in terms of there are different business models like sustainability. So some small brands, they actually see sustainable, they follow the sustainable model. Some are bespoke models. Some are, but every small business owner has to have a niche in terms of their brand. But when it comes to the big fashion houses, of course, there is no niche that they follow. They basically need a global presence. They are the trendsetters for the world and for the fashion industry.
Okay, so like you said, there are various niches to follow in this industry, like ethnic wear, fashion wear, sustainable. So how should an entrepreneur decide, a budding entrepreneur decide which niche to focus on? Is it based on passion and interest, or is it based on some other attributes?
So very important first is you conduct a market research. You identify what your strength as a brand is, how different you are from the other designers or from the other brands. You have to have your own identity as a brand. See what your target audience requires or what your target audience actually needs. So market research is the most important thing. Once you acquire that after the research, your ability and your how different you are from others is very important. And then once you find your different USP, that's what you want to focus on.
And speaking of e-commerce platforms, what role does e-commerce play in this business? And there are various e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Shopify, etc. So how does one decide which to get listed on and which one to not get listed on, etc.?
So e-com is playing a very, very important role in today's business. But when it comes to a mass production and when it comes to mass business, that's where e-com comes into business. Brand labels like us, like I run a label. So for a business model, for a business model like me, I don't think we can get into e-com because our product is very niche. And the mass may not understand this product and they may not want to spend so much because our ticket size is a little heavier than the e-com business.
Okay.
But definitely the e-com business is catching a boom in today's world because everything you want to shop, everything you want to buy is where you go on these marketplaces, and that's where you get it. But for a business like us, like a label or a boutique owner, for us most important is the social media and the online sales that we do from our websites.
Okay, so that is specifically related to your brand, but if somebody starting out again, how should that entrepreneur decide whether they should go towards the online approach, towards the offline approach, made to order? Like there are various models in this fashion businesses, right? So how should the entrepreneur decide which model should I take?
So they have to identify the passion and strength. They have to see what the competition is now. The business model that they want to, it is very important to identify your authenticity. You have to be very authentic, and you have to understand whether you want to get into the e-com business. Also, some marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart their ticket sizes are very small. But now Myntra and Ajio and all, the ticket size is a little heavier. So once you know what your target audience is, what is your geographical audience, where is it from, it's very important. That's when you decide which e-com or which marketplace you want to be on.
Okay, so can you give an example of a ticket size range which works typically for Amazon, Flipkart, and the other platforms that you mentioned?
So anything between 500 to 2500 is which will sell amazing at Amazon, Flipkart, and marketplaces like that. But something above 2500 is not people who want to buy from Amazon. So that is when marketplaces like Myntra, Ajio is what comes into picture, and Nika Lux. That's where all these marketplaces come into picture, where a little people don't mind spending, because now I think these marketplaces have also had their own, they're like a brand now. So Ajio itself is like a brand where people don't mind spending
a bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it better to manufacture your own clothing line or source it from wholesalers?
Okay. So it is I think manufacturing your own, like producing in your own house is better, I feel, because there are lots of challenges when it comes to getting it outsourced, where the quality check is very important. That is the biggest challenge that anyone faces. The quality, timelines, it's never on time. Production is never given on time. So when it is in-house, when you manufacture in-house, it is very important where you see the quality control is done. Your timelines are matched as per your targets. So I feel manufacturing in-house is a better option than outsourcing it.
Okay. And like you mentioned initially that in terms of personal challenges, investment plays a big role. So how much does it typically cost to set up your own brand or a boutique brand?
So now when you have to set up your own, suppose you want to set up a own boutique, which is, there are different types of investment. Here when you want to set up your own boutique, where you want it to be right in front of people, where you want people to walk in and come in, there's a different investment involved there. Now when you want to just have like a studio where you have people just walking in with your appointments, there's a different kind of investment there. When you want to do an online business, there's a different investment. But now everything has become online.
Okay.
So I feel investing a lot of money online in your in these e-com businesses is something which is become very important. So you need investment. I think somewhere around 30 to 40 lakh is something you need to start a business, is something what someone would require.
And can you give the split of where this 30 to 40 lakhs will be spent initially?
So if you're renting out a place, this is not for buying any property, this is for rentals. So
right.
You have your own rentals. You have to add your capital in marketing. You have to add your capital in setting up your website. You need to do a little bit of market research. You need to have a team. Without having a team, it is difficult to run a business. A solo person cannot run a business, especially a fashion business cannot be run, because there are so many aspects that need to be covered in terms of your marketing, in terms of your production, in terms of your fabric selections, in terms of CRM. So a team is required. Again, there's a lot of investment. You need a lot of capital to make your own team. So these are the different investments.
And how much does it typically go for procuring raw materials out of this initial investment?
So if you want to have a big production, then raw material is somewhere around 30% of your investment is you will need in your raw material.
Okay. And how long does it typically take to break even in this business model?
Around between 2 to 4 years is something a brand will take to get.
And what are the typical profit margins in this industry?
So for a small business owner, the profit margins will be around 15 to 30%. But for a big fashion house, somewhere between 40 to 50% is what
These
the
are
profit-
gross margins or net margins?
gross margins.
So is that considered to be healthy? Is it sufficient to take care of?
This is what the industry norms are
Okay.
basically. So
Okay.
yeah.
And what are the essential licenses and permits required to start a business in India?
So in India, you will require, of course, a GST, a trade license. If you're importing or exporting internationally, then you would require IEC, which is an import-export license. You will require a business registration, which is very important.
Okay. So, and I believe inventory management is one of the critical areas in this business. So how should one go about acing this?
So scheduling a regular stock count is very important. There are lots of these applications now that you can download where you have a stock count which should be regularly kept. Forecasting your sales is very important in this, especially when you know you have kept a lot of inventory and you know that now you have to actually forecast your sales, that this is what we need to sell to recover all the costs and the inventory that you already have. So stock count is something which is very important, and inventory management, and plus keeping a regular track on your apps is something which is very important.
Okay, and I believe whenever customers buy, there are some cancellation, there are some returns. So what role does that play, and is that important for customer retention?
So yes, you have to always be acceptable to all these returns that come. Definitely, customer relationship is something that comes into picture here, where you should have a strong team who can actually talk to your customers and ask what the problem was, identify the faults as a brand if you're having a fault, or is the consumer not ready for what you've given them. Accept changes. Make sure you make the changes, desired changes, and also once your product is returned, you have to be very sure that you try and resell that. So marketing, of course, comes in picture, where a lot of returns come, but then you have to market it and sell them back.
Okay. And like you mentioned earlier, that branding is quite important. So what are the key elements to go about this branding?
So for branding, I think brand visibility is very important, where you need to have a very strong logo. You should maintain a certain color palette. Also, the brand name has to have a specific typography. So your the fonts that you use is also very important, because that catches the eye of the consumer. So while I was creating my label, I had to play with a lot of fonts, because as a consumer, I know like what will attract the consumers. The colors were very important. Of course, the logo is very important. Your brand story also plays a very important role. You need to have a story to tell to the consumers, and your unique selling point. So if you have a storytelling, I think the brand really catches a lot of attention in terms of the consumers.
Okay. And say for boutique brands or small private labels who don't have big budgets for marketing, are there any cost-effective marketing strategies which one can deploy?
Most important is word of mouth.
Okay.
So word of mouth plays a lot of importance. So go to these small events, talk about your brand. That is the biggest marketing, cost-effective branding that you can do for your own brand.
Okay.
Go to a lot of events, talk to a lot of people, do online marketing. Have small budgets for your brand or for your product, and try selling it online. Performance marketing is something which is hitting. Everything is performance marketing today online.
Okay.
So that is something where have small budgets and try and do that. Influencer marketing is also hitting big. Do a lot of collabs with influencers, which is also very cost effective. People see once it is collabed, the influencer wears it, your brand catches attention.
Okay.
So these are the few things which you can do, where you don't have to spend a lot of money. Social media marketing, there is nothing much involved. Just keep putting your stuff out there. Every day you post something. Every day you post a reel about your product. It reaches out to a lot of people, and that's how people will get to know about your brand.
So in terms of social media marketing, any specific platform which plays a major role here? Like say probably Instagram or something?
Instagram and Facebook Meta business is
Acha.
hitting, and that's where the performance marketing comes.
Okay.
Every brand has to be on social media. Anything you buy or any service you give, the first thing people ask is, can I see your handle?
Wow. Okay.
So yes, without that, you are like, if you do not have an Insta handle, or if you do not have a Facebook handle, the first question is, okay, she doesn't have an Insta. Okay, is she a brand? Like, are they even a brand?
Okay.
So yeah.
How does a brand or a label go about retaining customers and maintaining customer loyalty?
One is you have to be very ethical. You have to be transparent in what you are giving to your consumers. Quality control is has to be maintained. Every time your consumer comes, you give a good quality. They have to. You want them to come back. You have to give them. You have to maintain your quality. Um, Email marketing. Be in regular touch, or maybe messaging marketing. Be in regular touch with your consumer.
Oh,
Talk to your consumers. Once we send the product, we make sure that my team actually calls them and asks them, is the product okay, like did you like it,
okay.
any changes you want, we're okay to exchange it or make the required changes. So talking to your consumers, finding out what they like, what they don't like, also makes a very important role.
But when you do it at scale, how can one replicate the same thing? Because when you're saying you're having an individual touch with the customer,
Yes.
but as and when the business grows and it scales, so how can one go about
It's
it?
all messaging and online, and then there are these direct messages that go to your consumer, so at least your presence is there. The consumer knows that okay, we've received a message, though it is an automated, everything is automated now,
Right.
but still that's how you retain. You keep sending them emails, keep sending them, so they know that we do care for the consumers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are the biggest mistakes fashion entrepreneurs make, which they should avoid?
There was one mistake which I have learned from it is back then when I had launched my swimwear collection. Of course, swimwear was a very niche market. Again, not many people are into swimwear, and India doesn't have a lot of swimwear brands. So when I had launched my swimwear collection, we had spoken to a marketing agency, and the agency actually asked us to do like a PR hamper, PR packages. So we went to these PR agencies, and they selected like 20 to 30 influencers for us, and we actually burnt a lot of money in that. Sending them, so you make your product, you send them, you make packages, make fancy packages, of course, because you're sending it to the influencers, it has to be attractive, and you pay the influencers the money to use your product or talk about it or put a story on their post. So I feel everything, it involves a lot of money here, so I actually happened to burn a lot of money there, and the return was not great enough. On the other hand, what I have learned from this mistake is that do good marketing, use good marketing strategies in terms of targeting your right audience, knowing what to put when, and that's what helped us, because now the influencers are approaching us in terms of can you collab with us, we don't need to pay the influencers. So
Okay.
that is what we've learned. Using the right marketing techniques is very important.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And like you mentioned initially that this business cannot be run in a solo manner. You need a team. What are the challenges of running a business in a solo manner?
So in a solo manner, you cannot reach everywhere. You have to see the production house. You have to go sourcing for fabrics. You have to talk to your consumers. You have to do online sales. You have to do designing. Everything is not possible. Like a one-man show cannot run here. You need team for different set of things. You need few people just for designing, where you put your ideas and they put it on paper or they put it online. You need one team just for online business, managing the sales. You need one team just for purchasing raw material and talking to the consumers. So I think it just cannot be run solely.
Solo. And like you said initially that around 30 to 40 lakhs initial investment is required. So what are the best ways to fund it? Do you advise bootstrapping it? Do you advise taking funding from outside?
So I feel for a startup, bootstrapping is the best. I mean, I would recommend that, because in bootstrapping, you are retaining your own ownership. Like, that you have the rights to take your own decisions. You are burning your money, you know where you've burnt, you know where you want to invest. So I feel bootstrapping is very good for your initial stage. But later, when you want to grow, definitely I think funding will play an important role. When you want to expand, you want to have multiple stores, you want to go a little global. So I think that's when funding also plays a very important role. But then when funding comes, you do not have right on your own business.
Right.
Because they take your decisions, like they exactly know. Even your designing is something where you will not be able to decide, because they will research the market, and the investors will exactly know that this is what we want to do, and you will have to work accordingly. So for small brand owners, I think bootstrapping is the
best way.
Best.
And how long can the small brand owners sustain, because they will be scaling with time? So is there any revenue figure or a profit figure that until, say for example, 10 crore sales, they can continue to manage it by themselves, and then they'll probably need external funding to go to the next stage of growth? So is there any figure or a benchmark in this industry where?
So I feel for a small business owner, 8 to 10 years is the survival rate.
Okay.
Yeah. Post that, I think funding is required if you still want to keep running and if you still want to keep growing. That's when your funding is required, and that is, I think, after a business is made like 20-30 crores, that's when you will need like a big funding of 100 CR or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the rise in AI and e-commerce, what does the future look like for this industry?
So I think AI will really help a lot for these small label owners, is because it gives it will definitely give a hyper personalized shopping experience to your clients. It gives a complete, once you put an outfit that you want or something that you desire, it gives you everything. So I think AI is hitting the boom, and it is really going to take skies in terms of small business owners, because that is really going to help these business owners to understand and have a better view of what the consumer will want.
So you're saying it'll essentially be in benefit of the.
Definitely, it will.
Lot of people are seeing AI like a threat to their business.
No, not at all. It's people who see it as threat. I feel they are not confident on their own capabilities. So I think AI will in fact help you and give you more vision, and it'll build up your horizon rather, I feel.
Okay, that's a very nice way to see it. Yeah. And say somebody starting out today wants to start their own clothing brand. What's the first thing they should do?
Understand what your strengths are. Who do you want to target to? How different can you be from different brand owners? What is your unique points? So first you need to understand that once you start your business, once you know that how different you are, how unique you are, what is your authenticity? And it's very important to be authentic. To survive in this industry, believe in yourself, have the authenticity of your vision, and that's what will help to start a business, yes.
So fashion industry is usually seen as very glamorous from the outside, but I believe it's very competitive like any other industry. So how does one stay adaptable with time and stay competitive?
You have to keep learning. Learning is never going to stop. You have to keep researching more. You have to keep analyzing what are the next trend going to be for next season. Also, you have to keep a tab on your competitors, what they are doing, and how different can you be, or how can you be a notch above than your competitors. And being different is the only key here, because every brand will sell the same thing and every brand will adapt from that different brand.
Okay.
So you have to be so different from others that's how you will want to survive in the market.
But how does one consistently stay relevant and continuously keep innovating?
Keep learning, keep researching, keep talking to people.
Okay.
And keep talking to your consumers, most importantly. That's where you will be relevant to your consumers and you'll be relevant to the market.
Repeat customer rate is an important factor in this business?
Very important factor. Because that will build word of mouth.
Okay.
And word of mouth is a big business, big way of catching business right now.
And how does one know that he or she is going on the right path? Is there any percentage of return customers which one should track? That it's probably 40% customer retention.
40% is too much to ask for customer retention. So I think 25-30% also, 20-25% is something which is a very good catch.
Okay. And do you want to clarify some misconceptions about this fashion industry?
So a few misconceptions I feel people think from outside is it's very glamorous. It is not as glamorous as you think. Every brand when you make, it's not just about you're designing and the collection is out. No, there's a lot of research required. There's a lot of challenges that a brand owner faces, where you have to see if this is the right kind of texture, right fabric, the season. Very important to see what season is coming next, and is that fabric going to be favorable for that season, for the skin? What do consumers want? You have to market research in terms of this trend is not trending anymore. It should not be competitive that people will not buy from you. So there are a lot of challenges. It's not easy as it looks. It just looks like you've designed something on paper and then you've made it out there. No, everything has a step and there's a big list to follow. So it is very difficult. Yes.
What's the best investment you have made in your brand in terms of time or in capital investment?
So the best investment what I feel I've made is my team.
Okay.
My team is my soul. It is my strength. I cannot do without my team because they're all beautiful people that I've got in my team, and every team member has a different role, and I cannot survive without them. So I think that's the best investment that I've made. And I do let them study more. I do let them research more. I give them the freedom to work how they want to. It doesn't work according to me, like I want it that way, I want this. No, I give them the freedom to decide, take decisions for the business, let it loosen them and do it their way. So I think that is the best investment that I have made in my business.
How did you go about hiring for your team the right way?
So of course a lot of interview process is involved in it. So I started with taking interns.
Okay.
But then these interns were very loyal, and they really helped grow the business, and that's how they are permanent now.
Oh wow. Okay. And do you believe in a brand having a physical outlet besides an online presence, or is that not relevant anymore?
That is not, no, I don't think in today's world it is important. Being online is very important, but when it comes to customer relationship, I think people want to come and feel the fabric and see the fabric. So that's when I feel 30% I feel people should have. But then when you do a lot of these pop-ups, that's when you also present in the market. Do a lot of these high-end pop-ups, a lot of trade shows where people can come and feel and see your fabrics, because a lot of consumers will not want to buy just online without feeling the product.
Okay.
So yes.
So this almost brings us to the end of the podcast. Do you have any parting words for our viewers?
So people who want to get into the fashion business, make sure you know how different you are from others. For me, my journey started being a bridal designer. From then I went into a pred designer. I did launch my swimwear collection, which was also not many people were doing in the market, and that really hit the market. Also diversify, and please accept challenges, please accept changes, be very adaptive to changes, I feel, and diversify yourself. That's where you will be able to sustain.
Thank you so much, Esha, for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you for watching this episode till the very end. I hope you found this episode to be valuable and insightful. If you did, please like, share and subscribe to our channel, as your support will help us grow and bring you more insightful conversations. We would love to hear from you. Please share your takeaways from this episode in the comment section below. We are welcoming entrepreneurs from all walks of life. If you or someone you know would like to feature as a guest in our podcast, then please fill the Google form as seen in the description below. We will reach out. Thank you. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.